This demonstration will look at connecting to an Azure SQL database by using SQL Server Management Studio and also an Azure web app. First step is to actually just create an SQL Server Firewall rule, and we're going to do that through the Azure portal. So what I've done here is I've just opened up the settings for my database. On the overview page, all I'm going to do here is click on the server that I created. This will then bring me into the settings. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to show the firewall settings. That'll then take me into another blade. And all we're going to do in the case of here is we're just going to add client IP. And what we can see here is we can see the rule name, we can see the start IP address and the end IP address. Now we're just going to modify some of these settings. And all we're doing here is we're giving ourselves a wide range of IP addresses because in the case of our client, we may get a different dynamically assigned IP address. Now that we've done all of this, next thing to do here is just select our save button. Now this may take a few minutes just to update the server firewall rules. So at this point here, all I'm going to do is I'll just pause the demonstration and return back once I'm 100% convinced that the rule has actually been saved. So at this point here, I did leave it for a few minutes. So now I've left it for a few minutes. I'm 100% happy that that firewall rule has been created. So we'll select OK. And all we're going to do at this point here is we'll just close down the firewall settings blade. And what I'll also do as well is I'll just close down the server blade. Next thing we'll do is we'll add a table to the Azure SQL database by using the SQL Server Management Studio. So we'll launch up the Management Studio by just clicking on the icon. And all we need to do is fill in the information to connect through to our server. And we're going for database engine for the server type. Server name is my briandbserver.database.windows.net. I'm going to use SQL Server Authentication. I'm going to specify the username and password I created when I created the database in an earlier demo. Final thing to do is select Connect. So as we can see now, come through my server, under databases, we've got the test database I created earlier. And now what we'll do is we'll just right click on our test DB, and all we're going to do at this point here is we're just going to do a new query. And then within our query, all we need to do is we just need to put in this case here, we're just going to type in our transact SQL statement. So I've entered my query. I'm going to create a table with this query, so we'll just select the execute button. Now that's executed, so we can see everything's completed successfully. What we have across here is we can now see under tables, we now have our demo table. And then the next thing we'll do here is we'll just add some data to the table of the SQL database in Azure by using SQL Server Management Studio. And to do that, we'll just select another new query. And then what we'll do is we'll just type in our query. And we've just created our SQL query, so we're inserting into our demo table, values, new ID, and what we're doing here is we're just inserting 100, as we can see here, rows. Next thing we'll do here is we'll just query a table of an SQL Azure database in Azure by using the SQL Management Studio. So we'll come down to our database table, we'll right click. All we're going to do at this point here is we're going to script table as. Under script table as, we'll select 2. And then what we're going to do here is we're just going to go for our new query editor window. And what this should generate is a transact SQL query that will retrieve data from the table. So we're going to use our test DB, and all we're going to do at this point here is we're going to select the execute button. And what we're looking for here is we've selected the ID portion down here, so we can see that we have a table of ID, and we've also as well got data eval, and we also have a table called data eval. Not massively exciting data, but it does prove that what we've been able to do is via our SQL management product, we've been able to come in here, we've been able to connect through to an Azure SQL database, we've been able to create a table, insert some data, and then view that data as well. Another way we can also connect to our SQL database is we can do it from an Azure web app. So what we've done as part of this demonstration, we've had a web app created for us. So if we just come to our web app, that'll take us into the settings. And what we're interested in here is we're interested in the application settings. So we'll scroll this down, we'll just come to our application settings. And within our application settings, what we can do is we can set up a connection string to allow us to connect through to the SQL database that we created in some of the earlier demos. So we just scroll this down. All we're looking for here is we're just looking for, if we keep scrolling it down a bit further, all we're looking for here is we're just looking for our connection settings. So what we have here is we have connection strings. Now what I've already done is I've already filled in the information, but if I just click on my SQL connection, so what I've done here is I've just created a name called SQL Azure Connect. In the case of my data source, I have specified, if we scroll this along, I've specified my Brian DB server.database.windows.net, and then we've stuck in a semicolon. We've got initial catalog equals my test DB I created in an earlier demo. My user space ID is the username I created, student. Also have my password in place here. Not a very secure password, but we do have a password. Semicolon encrypt. We've said true. And then what we've done, untrusted underscore connection. We've equaled false. And that's the end of that line there. Now what I'm going to do at this point here is I'm not going to bother saving any of this off. But what we will do is we'll just come into Internet Explorer, we'll open up a new tab, and what we're going to do at this point here is we're just going to type in the URL for the website, which in my case here is http://adatemweb262.666.azurewebsites.net. And what we can see within my Azure SQL database web app, what we have here is we can see all of the information, IDs. We can also as well see the data value. And that's the end of this demonstration of connecting to the SQL database via SQL Studio, and also as well setting up our Azure database web app to communicate with our backend SQL database. Thank you.